Have you ever taken a bite of something while breastfeeding and immediately wondered, did I just ruin my milk? And when you're already sleep deprived, healing, and trying to figure out which way is up and down, the last thing you need is a list of 37 forbidden foods. I'm Dr. Mona, pediatrician, IBCLC, and mom. And today we're going to slow this down, sort through what's actually evidence-based, and help you eat without second-guessing every bite. If you appreciate myth busting without the guilt, make sure you're subscribed. So many of you watch my videos, but don't hit that subscribe button, so make sure you do that for more calm, evidence-based, and experience-based guidance. Let's get into it. First, we need to understand something really important. Breast milk is made from your blood, not directly from the contents of your stomach. It's not like you eat salsa and your milk turns into salsa. Your body digests food, absorbs nutrients into your bloodstream, and then your mammary glands use those nutrients to make milk. Your body is actually incredibly protective of milk quality. It prioritizes milk production, even if your own diet is less than perfect. That means for most parents, most foods are safe. Your baby is not drinking last night's tacos, they are drinking milk your body made from processed nutrients. And that distinction matters. If that just took a weight off your shoulders, hit subscribe. We love science that lowers anxiety around here. The short answer is no. There is no universal elimination diet required for breastfeeding. You do not need to cut out dairy just in case. You do not need to avoid spices. You do not need to live on plain chicken and rice. Most breastfeeding parents can eat a normal, varied diet. Now, there are situations where certain foods may need to be removed, but that's usually for a specific medical reason, not as a precaution. For example, some babies have a true cow's milk protein allergy, which we will dive into later in this video. But for most families, elimination diets are not necessary. What you do need is nourishment. Balanced meals when possible, enough calories, hydration, and iron and protein intake. Not only important for breast milk production, but for your healing after having a baby. And let's be real here. If you are in the newborn phase, balanced meals might look like peanut butter on a spoon while holding a baby in one arm, and that counts. Breastfeeding does burn extra calories, so many will say that they noticed increased hunger or increased thirst, and that's normal. That's your body working. So eat for what you need. Drink when you're thirsty. This doesn't mean you need to obsess over calorie numbers. It just means your body may need a little more fuel, and you should listen to your hunger and fullness cues. So instead of focusing on restriction, focus on nourishment. Feed yourself so you can feed your baby. Okay, let's talk about the foods people love to blame. Spicy food. You're fine, your milk is not turning into hot sauce. Tiny flavor compounds can pass into breast milk, and that actually gives your baby early exposure to different tastes, which is kind of cool when you think about it. You're not harming them, you're expanding their flavor library. Garlic, also fine. It does not spoil your milk. Your baby is not filing a complaint because you had some pasta with garlic. Broccoli, cabbage, and other gassy vegetables. Gas in your stomach stays in your stomach. It does not travel into your bloodstream and then into your milk. That's not how the body works. So foods that make you gassy, like broccoli, beans, or cabbage, do not make your baby gassy through breast milk. Yeah, and in some cases, babies may have true food sensitivities to that food. So if you are noticing you're eating something like broccoli or cabbage that's especially gassy, and your baby is gassy every single time you eat those foods, you can try cutting those back. But a lot of the times, it's because baby is just gassy. Because for the vast majority of babies, fussiness, gas, or colic is not caused by what a breastfeeding parent ate. They're just naturally gassy, their digestive systems are still immature and just figuring things out. Please keep eating the foods that feel like home to you. Your baby does not need you on a bland food diet because someone online said flavor equals fussiness. Around the world, breastfeeding parents eat highly seasoned, diverse foods, and their babies are doing great. Yes, you can have your coffee, but you may have to limit the volume if you were a multi-day drinker. Most guidance suggests keeping it around 200 to 300 milligrams a day. That's roughly 1 to 2 cups, depending on how strong you brew it. If your baby seems unusually jittery or extra wakeful, you can experiment with timing. But for most people, moderate caffeine is completely compatible with breastfeeding. Only a small amount of caffeine actually transfers into breast milk, usually less than 1% of what the parent consumes. And honestly, in the newborn phase, that coffee might be the only thing standing between you and tears. So if coffee is the only reason you're functioning today, subscribe while you sip. We support tired parents here as well. Now let's talk about when food could matter. True food sensitivities are real, but they are far less common than the internet would have you believe. What we do see is a milk protein allergy, which is the most common concern in breastfed infants. But this is not my baby cried after I had cheese. Signs that make me think more seriously about milk protein allergy include blood or mucus in the stool, severe eczema, poor growth, significant persistent symptoms that are not explained by normal newborn behavior. And if this is something you've been concerned about, I have a full video on cow's milk protein allergy where I go deeper into diagnosis, symptoms, and what management actually looks like. I'll link that for you below as well. Colic alone does not equal allergy. Fussiness is common. True allergy is specific. Many parents are told to eliminate dairy, soy, eggs, gluten, and more without clear medical signs. And elimination diets are not harmless. They can increase stress, reduce calorie intake, and sometimes even affect milk supply. That can take a real toll on mental health. I've even counseled mothers who became so worried that their diet was causing their baby's fussiness that they kept eliminating more and more foods. One mom I worked with had removed so many foods that she told me she was basically eating celery and drinking water and whatever tiny things she thought were safe. And what do you think happened? Her milk supply started to drop, not because her body couldn't make milk, but because she was under so much stress and simply just wasn't getting enough calories. Calories matter for milk production. Your body needs fuel to make milk. So while elimination diets sometimes have a role when there is a true medical condition like milk protein allergies, or we're seeing a true causation, but they should be done thoughtfully and ideally with guidance from your pediatrician, not because someone online said all fussiness equals food intolerance or an allergy. So the next thing is not a food, but it's alcohol. And we need to talk about it because this is where a lot of shame tends to show up. The reality is many parents ask this question because they want to enjoy a normal moment, a glass of wine at dinner, a drink at a celebration without worrying that they're harming their baby. So my goal here is to educate you so you can make informed decisions. I am by no means encouraging people to drink a lot while they have a child and a child in their care. The messaging here is that if you have a drink or if you are planning on drinking, how can we safely do that so the breast milk is still available for your baby? So let's talk about physiology and what the science actually says. Alcohol does pass from the breast milk into your bloodstream. The level in your milk can mirror your blood alcohol level. That means as your body metabolizes alcohol, the level in your milk will decrease too. But everyone metabolizes alcohol differently, so the timing isn't exactly the same for everyone. Everyone has different metabolic rates. Pumping and dumping doesn't remove alcohol faster. Time is what lowers alcohol levels. On average, it takes about 2 hours for your body to metabolize one standard drink, though this can vary depending on your body size, metabolism, and whether you've eaten. If you're planning to have a drink, here's a way that I would approach it. Feed your baby first so you're starting on an empty clock with no alcohol in your system. Try to stick to one drink. Then give it about 2 hours before nursing again so your body has time to metabolize the alcohol. If the timing doesn't line up, you can always use previously pumped milk. I didn't drink when I was breastfeeding my daughter, and that's a personal choice. I just didn't need it. There was no events that were happening that made me want to drink, so I didn't do it. But this is important so that you can make choices that you want, but that are also safe for your baby. And the bottom line here is also that I want to make sure that you are not drinking too much where you can't take care of your baby. So of course, you need to make sure they're in the care of someone else. If you go out for drinking, if you're having a good time, make sure that there is a sober individual caring for that child. And if you are drinking and you are buzzed, always remember that it is not safe to bed share. I know this video is about what you can do while you're breastfeeding, but it's an important reminder that that's not safe and it can increase the risk of SIDS. So it's really important that you are not drinking, intoxicated, using any drugs, all of that stuff. I'm not judging you. I'm just giving you facts, especially if you are co-sleeping. So I hope that was simple. No panic, no dramatic pump and dump unless you're uncomfortable. Just basic timing and common sense. Binge drinking is not safe. Heavy alcohol use can impair your ability to care for your baby and yourself and can affect milk production. But one planned drink or two in moderation, that can be done safely. We can support breastfeeding and still allow room for real life. We touched on caffeine, but let's zoom out. Moderate caffeine is generally safe. Energy drinks, however, can contain very high levels of caffeine plus other stimulants. So this is where I get more cautious. So I would say ditch those. Supplements and herbs are another area where social media gets loud. Take this tea for milk supply. Fenugreek fixes everything. This herbal blend will double your ounces. Herbal supplements are not regulated the same way medications are. Some can interact with medication, some can affect blood sugar, some may not be safe in large amounts. Before starting any supplement use, talk to your clinician. More is not always better. And sometimes milk supply issues are about latch, frequency, or demand, not about needing another powder in your smoothie. But I know culturally, there are a lot of remedies that you may receive. I'm Indian, and fenugreek is very popular. And it's okay to take those things, but also remember that milk supply is not only on the supplements or the herbs. A lot of it has to do with how you feed your baby, frequency, latch, all of that too. And remember, if you want grounded guidance instead of trendy fixes, subscribe and stick around. That's how you're going to get access to more of my videos. Another question I hear all the time is medications while breastfeeding. Most common medications are compatible with breastfeeding, including many antibiotics and common pain relievers like acetaminophen or ibuprofen. Small amounts of medication can pass into breast milk, but in many cases the levels are very low and not harmful to babies. What I see happen often is parents being told to stop breastfeeding completely for medications that are actually considered safe during nursing. So before stopping breastfeeding, talk with your pediatrician or OB. You can also check reliable sources like LactMed, which reviews research on medications and breastfeeding. In many situations, you can treat your illness and continue breastfeeding safely because your health matters too. And let's zoom out for a bigger picture. There's so much food fear online. There's so much stigma around what we've discussed. Moms blaming themselves because their baby is fussy, because they ate chocolate, because they had dairy, because they had coffee. Babies are allowed to be babies. They have immature digestive systems. They cry, they cluster feed, they have witching hours. Not every hard evening is caused by what you ate at lunch or at dinner. Breastfeeding does not require dietary perfection. Nourishing yourself is part of caring for your baby. If you're anxious about every bite, skipping meals, or restricting heavily without medical reason, that matters too. Your well-being is not secondary. So if this message feels like a deep breath, subscribe because we care for parents here, not just for babies. And here's the bottom line. Most breastfeeding parents can eat a normal, varied diet. Restriction is only needed when medically indicated. Alcohol in moderation can be planned safely. Caffeine is okay within reasonable limits. And your mental health matters. You do not need to fear your dinner plate. And I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. What's the strangest breastfeeding food rule you were told to follow? Are there any questions you have about this? Remember, I have a team of medical experts that are in the comment section. And if this video helped clear up some myths, give it a thumbs up sign and subscribe. Please remember to subscribe. That's how this channel can grow for more evidence and experience-based guidance. And share this with another parent who might be staring at their fridge wondering if garlic is about to ruin their baby's night. Thank you for being here. Stay well. I'll see you all next time.